Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're done speaking. So this is the first talk of the weekend. I invited my very good friend Ryan, who is an amazing friend. He's going to talk to you about all sorts of things, physical fitness-wise, and bit of performance stuff, and so on and so forth. When I moved to the Hawke's Bay, I met Ryan. He was one of the first people that I ever met, and he took me into his gym. And he's part of the reason why I actually managed to do well enough to get selected for New Zealand for Commonwealth. He was absolutely paramount to my personal training success. So, a round of applause, please welcome one of us.
Oh, guys, thank you very much. It's a great privilege for myself to be able to come here today and talk to you guys about high performance. I think you take into consideration coming into camps like this, especially for a lot of you younger ones on your holidays. It's a real opportunity to really maximise your time here. It's great to see some of the older athletes as well, give out a good time as well. It's a great sign that these kids will have great examples or leadership ahead of them that will put them in good stead moving forward. So as I mentioned, today's going to be brushing over the topic of high performance. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I've been an athlete for the past 14 years, and I've come across throughout that time bits of success, and I want to teach you about, or give you at least some practical skills that can really help you, but have helped me along the way. One thing I always do when I start off with the talks, I always want to make a guarantee. Okay, I know that this won't be the worst talk that you've ever had. It may be the best, but definitely be somewhere in the middle. So if we can get ourselves kind of north towards the best talk that you've ever heard, then I know I'm doing my job, and I know that you guys will have a few takeaways today. So I'm excited about that. So before we get started, just a little bit about me, a background on me. I'm from Papua New Guinea originally. My parents were both born and raised there. Does anyone know, show of hands, where Papua New Guinea is? Cool, right, cool. I was doing a bit of research on fencing, and actually fencing is one of the new sports that's being developed at the moment through the International Olympic Committee, which is quite cool. It's an up-and-coming sport there. Back in my home country, Papua New Guinea, like combat sport that you guys do, most of our combat is, or what Papua New Guinea is known for the most is tribal wars. So people, boys and girls, men and women, literally fight each other to the death with spears, swords, guns, and it's still like that in many places today. We're fortunate enough that Mum and Dad got an opportunity to move to Australia when we were kids, to give us a better opportunity at life and obviously to get an education. Fast forward through all of that, I've always been an outdoors kid, right into my sports. Played a lot of rugby league growing up in Australia, a lot of touch footy and a lot of soccer. And in my high school years, especially at the back end, was heavily into athletics. I was fortunate enough to leave high school and go straight into a professional setup with the Gold Coast Titans in the NRL for my first 2 years out of school. It was very daunting, very challenging, mainly because you were really young. Is anyone here close to finishing high school? Yeah, awesome. So I remember being your age not all that long ago, probably 18 years ago, and feeling like, man, I really want to make the most of this opportunity that I have ahead of me. And my time at the Gold Coast Titans, although I didn't gain any selection to play in first grade, it really taught me a lot about hard work, being patient, and learning to be resilient. Because any successful team knows that those are the key ingredients to succeeding. And it doesn't matter what line of sport you're in or what industry you work in as well. Those are really key ingredients to success. Now I find myself as a businessman. As I mentioned, predominantly most of my career has been in rugby union, so I'm an athlete. I'm at the back end of that now, just about ready to retire. Some of my teammates, especially the younger ones, said, you know, you've got to retire a little bit long ago. But you know, we try and. But when you enjoy what you do, you love turning up and you love getting the most out of it, especially if you know you can still contribute. So and now I find myself as a coach as well. I work with a lot of athletes, a lot of the general public as well, just like Baz gave you a little bit of a background. It's one of my great passions. I love seeing people succeed, and I really want to help them in their health and fitness journeys and show them some really key and practical strategies to help succeed in whatever it is that they're pursuing. So there's some of my coaching credentials around weightlifting, pre and post pregnancy training. I'm a certified nutritionist, and there's a couple of things that I've put in there about what I've done in sports. So in rugby league and rugby union, I've been fortunate enough to play at the international level, so dual international in a couple of sports. Funny story, not so funny at the time, but back in 2016 at the Rio Games, I was one of very few players in the Super Rugby competition that was fortunate enough to get tapped on the shoulder to asked to come and be part of the incentive program to go to Rio. Unfortunately, I sustained a big injury, which is the not so funny part, and kind of ruled out at that. But if I had my time over, being an Olympian would definitely be something to definitely brag about, or at least inspire others about. So to come that close and have something like an injury get in the way, it's just part of life, and you learn a lot of lessons with that as well. Also with my rugby career, I've been fortunate enough to win a Super Rugby title with the Tongia Highlanders back in 2015, and I've been a part of the NPC winning teams with Hawke's Bay and Waikato as well, and was fortunate enough to experience a couple of seasons over in France, winning a top 14 and top division title with them. So like many of you, whenever I've gone into these types of environments, I've always thought to myself, man, I'm not a superstar, I'm not like a lot of these other fellas, but I want to win, and I love to play, I love to participate, and win trophies and titles. Because for us in that world, or as an athlete, hopefully that's what you're aspiring to do. You want to be the best at what you do. So there are lots of things, components and skills and tools that I've had to develop over time, and thankfully I've had a few hardships in life that have fast-tracked those lessons. Some of you, most of you in the room, those of you sitting on the edges will know what that's like, but most of you, in the middle of the room there, hopefully life doesn't treat you too hard, but there's some real good lessons that you can learn in your journey moving forward. I was fortunate enough to be crowned the fittest male in New Zealand as well at the F45 Nationals, which is a semi-professional event that's based around fitness. So very happy to carry on that title, because when you're helping people in and around health and fitness, you want to be able to walk your talk. And so to have things like that, it's not to brag at all, but it's more so to have proof, because that's going to reiterate all the things that I believe about myself, which we're going to talk about today in our beliefs. Some of the things that I'm most proud about, as I mentioned right at the start, is that I'm a father of 4 kids. So my oldest is 14 years old, youngest is 4 weeks, just turned 4 weeks on Thursday last week, and I have a 2 and a 3-year-old. So life is quite hectic, but I love being able to juggle all these moving components. And very happy to be able to be here today. So that's me in a nutshell. Although I've kind of ramped on a little bit, today's not about me, it's about you guys and why you guys are here. So let's get into it. Can I get a show of hands here if there's anyone who really wishes to become a better athlete? Just a few of you. The others that have left your hands down, is that you were forced to come here? No? Not sure? It's absolutely fine too, okay? You guys are still at that young stage as well, but it's so great to see that majority of the room throw their hands up, because over the next few days, under the guidance of some of the senior people here, your coaches that you have run you through things, they're going to be able to teach you things and help fast track your progress. Essentially, you've got the opportunity right now to get the jump on competition for whenever your next event is, or in the new year. For a lot of you, is anyone aspiring to be an Olympian one day? Well, those. Put your hands up. It starts here. It really does. It really does. If you don't, and we're going to touch on beliefs. If you really don't believe that it's something that you're capable of achieving, then you're going to find performing at a high level really, really difficult, because that's what you have to think and believe in yourself. Is that you want to aspire to get to those heights. Now, whether you get there or not, that's a time thing, and no one's got control of that. We can't control that, but we can do a lot of things in the process to help put ourselves in positions to get there. So today, the contents that we're going to cover are around high performance, what I call the 5 Ps, and clarity. And then at the end, we'll do some Q&A. I'll give you a few takeaways, and hopefully I can get through the first 3 parts efficiently, and you guys get some good takeaways, and then we spend a bit of time answering some questions at the end, because that's where the most value is going to come. So the first part, for me, the high performance really just comes down to the ability to be able to perform in any moment, under any circumstances, at your maximum capacity. Whether you're feeling great, feeling tired, lethargic, sick, it comes down to being able to perform when it counts. When you're performing at a high level, injuries can occur, you start to feel pain, you start to feel all sorts, but high performance is about being able to work through all of that and really bring out the best in yourself to get the result. For me, I really believe that there's 5 key components that make up your ability to be able to do that. I think high performance is a skill, it's not a gift, it's not a talent, okay? It's a skill, which means that everyone has the ability to be able to learn it, develop it, and get better at it. So that should be the first thing that you guys write down today. High performance is a skill. Whenever anyone ever tells you about skills, know that it's just something that you can develop and you can get better at. You may not know how to do it right now, and that's okay, but you can get better at it. And as long as you know that, you'll save yourself a whole heap of frustration and time worrying about what you're not doing. Now for me, the first part, or first key component to being a high performer is that a better you, meaning yourself, a better version of yourself, makes a better athlete. And that transfers into everyday life, everything. From school to at home to when you're playing sport. Does anyone else play any other sport outside of fencing? Yeah, a few of you. So, in all these different environments. Now, you might feel like you succeed in one area than the other, all right? And especially as younger athletes, you definitely are going to be trying to find your feet wherever you go. And some of you, from talking to Baz earlier, some of you are very, very talented, and you've got a really bright future ahead of you. Some of you are a bit more at the younger stage or early stages of your journey, so there's still a fair bit of time and a bit of work that needs to be put in order to get there. And then there's others as well who was mentioned about how you guys really have some great experience, and maybe with a few things that we talk about today, we can help unlock a few of those things. So a better you, it really comes down to some characteristics. Characteristics are things like somebody who's honourable, responsible, respectful, things like being on time, being reliable, trustworthy, and being able to always enjoy the present moment. That's always a key characteristic, being present. Does anyone, just a show of hands, feel like any of those characteristics you currently have? This is fantastic, because what this means is that we can get better at these things. If you don't currently feel that way, it means that you have a great opportunity ahead of you. Alright, when you're a little bit more experienced and you're further down the track and you're feeling like you don't have these things, unfortunately it's a time factor, and your greatest asset right now is time. So it's a really positive note that not many of you are putting up your hands, although it's fantastic. I'd really love that we have someone present with some of those characteristics. So a better you also means, are you coachable? Do you listen to your parents? Do you listen to your coaches? Yeah? Now you can't be coming to things like this and say, yeah, I'm coachable, and every time the coach is trying to help you, you're giving excuses or you're giving responses. These guys have given up their hard-earned time, their precious time to be with you guys, in full immersion, go all in for you guys. And so it's an opportunity ahead of you to really maximize that, squeeze everything you can out of these next few days. Because I can tell you, as an adult in the big bad world, no one else really cares. No one else outside of this room actually really cares, and I mean to be real blunt about that, also so that you can understand the people that are here for you, and they want to see you succeed, and they want to help you, and they want to help you do great things. So make the most of it over the next couple of days. Now, being coachable is really important, even from being at home. You can't always be with your coach, and predominantly for most of us, I'm not sure if there is anybody in here that doesn't, but for most of us, we've got parents, being able to listen to your parents, it starts there. Whether they're right or wrong, practicing the skill of listening is always really, really important. If you can do that, you're going to become better athletes in your pursuit, in your careers. Can definitely guarantee that. So, next thing to write down, be coachable. There's a second component, and we call that the 100-hour rule. It's been around for donkeys. It's not anything brand new that I've made up, but I come across this concept and it really changed my eyes. It was mainly due to starting a new career, going from rugby league into rugby union, totally different sports, but it really helped me fast track and find success along my path. The 100-hour rule equates to 18 minutes a day of any given skill that you put time and effort into over the course of 365 days, which is a year. You accumulate 100 hours of hard work implementation, which is really important. So, at a local level, if you were to attain 100 hours of a certain type of skill, or 100 hours of a couple of types of skills in your sport, the likelihood is that you'd be 95% better than majority that participate in your sport. And it comes down to practicing 18 minutes a day. Does anybody know how long 18 minutes is? It's how long I've been talking for. That's it. That's as long as it takes to practice a skill. Alright, some of you watch Netflix for 10 times the amount of time, and you can be practicing these things. Also, as older athletes, quite often we make excuses for lots of things. We're busy, we're tired, we've got lots going on. Some of you are probably looking at me going, what the hell do you know? You don't know anything about me. And look, it's just the reality when it comes to high performance. When you want to succeed at what you do, you have to cut out excuses and you have to make the time. And implementing things like this, the 100-hour rule, and it could be your footwork, it could be your stretching, it could be certain techniques that you're trying to practice. Literally 18 minutes. And you know that if you're doing more than 18 minutes on a daily basis, you're going to be fast tracking that progress a hell of a lot more. The frequency of doing things in small amounts every day, which is one of the things that I like to teach a lot of my clients, is that one, it's doable, but two, the frequency of doing it means you're going to get constant feedback. You're going to get constant feedback. And feedback is the one thing that, unfortunately not a lot of us get all the time. Sometimes you have to go and get it. And feedback helps us see things that we're not always seeing or feeling in that given moment. So, coming back to implementing a 100-hour rule, for a lot of you guys at the local level, you would do great things. I would, based on statistics across most professional sports, 1,000 hours would probably make you a national champion. You put 1,000 hours into your work, right? And then anything over 10,000 hours would most likely turn you into Olympians, which is for you guys probably the cream of the crop. Would that be fair to say? In all reality, anybody who you know that's really great in your line of work or anything that you aspire to do, okay, they all started just like you, just like me. We started in these positions, not really knowing, being kind of good at a few things, but just putting in the hard work and being consistent with it. And when you do get setbacks, because you are going to get setbacks along the road, it's about being able to work through that, not get put down by it, And if you have somebody that's walked the path ahead of you, that can give you those insights before you get there on that part in the path, I think that it'll really set you up for success, because you'll be able to anticipate it, when the setbacks do come, you're like, oh, that's right. There's that guy with the maroon jersey that came and talked to us that time in Hawke's Bay. He said that there's going to be setbacks. But not only that, your coaches are going to constantly remind you, which is awesome. So the 100-hour rule is really, really important. It can really set you up for success. It costs you nothing other than your time and the will to practice to be consistent at it. Does anybody here, show of hands, think that they can't put 18 minutes into practicing a skill that can make them better over the next 12 months? Fantastic. Good. We've got a room full of people who want to get better. It's a little bit more than the first question, which is awesome. Now, in your pursuit of success as well, there's always a price that has to be paid. Okay? That price looks like, or comes in the form of, what are the sacrifices that need to be made, and what is the work that's required to get there. Now, again, I've never been an Olympian. I'm talking about this close from being one, and the amount of work that went into coming this close was this much. So I can only imagine to become an Olympian and to even get a medal, it must be at least 5 times the amount of work that goes into getting that close to becoming one. Does that make sense? So, it comes down to understanding what is it that you actually want. Creating a clear picture around, people call it goals, some people call it vision, some people just call it, I don't know. That's what some people call it. And you just got to get clear on what it is that you're trying to work towards. If that's winning the next local competitions, that's making it to nationals, becoming the best in your do they have weight classes?
No, I hope not. I'm a super heavyweight. No, I say age categories.
Age groups. Yep. Is anyone here on TikTok? Come on. Any Fugus? Really? Okay. Well, look, it's not that you need to brag about it, but how good would it be to be able to be known as the person in your community as the best in their age group at what they do? Just think about that. And not that you need to be known as the best, but opportunities come. People want to work with the best of the best. People don't want to work with people who don't want to help themselves, who don't want to get better, and don't want to work towards a common bigger goal, bigger vision. That's why you guys are here. There's about 5 million people in New Zealand, and by a brief head count, there's roughly, looks like about 30, maybe 40 heads in here. You guys are given your time now. You've got the opportunity to get ahead of everybody else who's just wasting time. It might seem like it's fun, but you know, what you guys are doing now is really critical to your long-term success. So take that on board. Those are the prices you pay. You're giving up your time on your holidays to come to things like this to get better. And so one of the famous sayings that a great coach that I once had, James Joseph, always used to say, don't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. Say that again. Don't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. Everything has a price tag when it comes to performance. And it's just about understanding what that is. And the good thing about it is that you have someone like Baz who's gone before you and he's competed at a really elite level. You know, it's not like just local stuff here and whatnot. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you've got somebody who actually understands what it takes to get there. And he can give you all those insights so that you don't have to learn the hard way. How awesome is that? You got somebody who will literally give you the, not shortcuts, but the quick cuts to get there much sooner than what he did. Baz, how old were you when you went to the Com Games?
First time we selected for Coms was 2014. So what's that? That's 9 months now, so 36.
36.
Yeah.
Imagine if some of you older athletes in here, some of you younger fellas, sorry.
Imagine if I had listened.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I was, give or take, outside of Epay, I was the oldest by far. So the foilists were a lot younger than me. And actually a lot of the Epayers were a lot younger than me too.
And for all of those athletes as well, I mean, because it happens in lots of different sports. It's not just fencing, it happens in multiple sports. You teenagers are at that point in time where if you start implementing things like this, you will be the next crop or the next wave that comes through that will be part of, the next elite athletes that go to things like the Com Games, Olympic Games and whatnot. If you can maximise your time now. It's really hard when you're young like this. You can even see some of you starting to look at the ground and wander around. Your attention is all over the place, and that's absolutely fine. But it's understanding that maximise this time that you have now, and great things can happen. You can put yourself in that position to make great things happen. You're never guaranteed anything in life other than what I made towards you at the start of the presentation. I know that currently it's not the worst presentation you guys have been in. Anyways, your fourth component, your beliefs. Okay, what you believe about yourself, how you view yourself, is always going to be the most important aspect of anything that you do, not just in sport. All right, if you don't believe that you're a hard worker, or better yet, you think that you're capable of being a champion, but you're lazy as anything, all right? I can tell you, man, the higher you go up, the more equal everybody is in regards to talent and skill. So there has to be a point, or the thing that separates the gold medalists from the silver medalists, and the silver medalists from the bronze medalists, and the bronze medalists from the rest of the pack, is everything to do with your mindset, your psychological toughness. Your beliefs, for a lot of you, they've already been conditioned into you, and they're going to continue to be molded as you get older as well. And for some of us older athletes, you've been conditioned to think a certain way as well. If you literally don't think that you can get better because you've had an old injury that stopped you from doing all sorts of things, then yeah, absolutely, believe that, then don't want to be a better athlete. Be happy to just stay there as well, and that's absolutely fine. It's when you're wanting to pursue something greater, you have to change your beliefs about yourself. You have to know, even though it's scary thinking about, going to compete against, the world's best at something like the Olympic Games. It's scary as hell, but it comes back to, what you believe about yourself, and we're going to talk about how you can reiterate that through our 5 Ps very shortly. Also, your state of mind. All right, fencing is a combat sport. Yes, you have protective gear and whatnot, but it's a combat sport. You have to develop a warrior mindset. All right. Now, you're not literally going to go out and kill anybody, but you have to really develop the mindset that you're going to go out and really beat this opponent. Okay, it's never personal. It's literally that person's in my way from going that next step or to that next level. And so I need to make sure that I overcome this person. Now some of you have the skills to be able to, take out everybody here. Absolutely awesome. And then, that's usually as far as it gets. So you have to constantly challenge yourself with people who are much, much better than you. Okay? And again, some of the older heads here, their abilities will be more than enough to challenge a lot of you young talented ones. So you have to keep challenging yourself, stepping up to the plate. Don't get comfortable with just hanging with your mate and wanting to just compete against them, practice against them. Get around, practice against the youngest, practice against the oldest, practice against the person who looks the fastest, practice against the other person who looks the slowest, so that you can get you can find your rhythm and things. And it really just comes back to your state of mind. All right. If you know that you're a warrior, you go out there and you compete, and you do hard work. There's no reason why you can't get a result. There's a bit of luck involved at the local level, but once you start creeping up the levels in professional sport or elite sport, it's not about luck anymore. It's the synergy of your skill set and your psychological toughness, and being able to marry the two so that you can continue to move forward. Now, the 5 Ps. 5 Ps is a phrase, again, one thing that I've learned, nothing brand new that I've ever created, but more so refined to help myself and to help lots of clients and many athletes along the way on their journeys. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. That's what the 5 Ps stand for. Please write that down. 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. What that looks like, guys, is doing the 1%ers. It's what you're putting into your body, your nutrition, from a hydrating standpoint to the types of foods that you eat. There is nothing wrong with having lollies. There is nothing wrong with eating chips, drinking Coke. Okay, but if you want to be an athlete, you'll be able to get the best out of yourself. Does that make sense? And to be able to do that, it means that you have to have less of that stuff because it slows you down. Does that make sense? Okay, so your nutrition is paramount. If any of you are skipping meals just because you just forget, it's not good enough when you want to become an elite athlete. You have to start practicing some of these habits down. Also, sleep for developing brains is really important. But if you want to be an elite athlete, sleep is also paramount to your recovery. If anything, more than training, more than nutrition, more than just studying film and opposition, recovery and sleep are the same things. So there's things like doing your stretching, practicing your mobility. If it's a form of training like strength training, making sure that you're getting that in so that your body is able to be conditioned for some of the events that you go to. How many, correct me if I'm wrong, it's called a guild when you...
Oh, yes, guild, we like that, or a sal.
A what, sorry?
A sal.
A sal.
Yeah.
How many times would you, in a competition?
About.
Sorry, so how many bouts would you have in a competition if you were from start to becoming champion? If you were lucky enough to go all the way?
Yeah.
10 to 12, yeah.
And roughly how long do they go for? It varies, I can imagine it varies, but on average?
What? Yeah, 10
Yeah, it's not usually.
Yep, and so obviously if you're really good, you can get all your points and be over and done with it, and obviously if it's a good duel, you'll be going back and forth for quite some time. Yeah, so you don't only have to be physically conditioned for that sort of stuff, you also have to be mentally conditioned. Now you can't be in peak physical condition at any stage, whether you're a young person or you're an older athlete, and expect that your mentality or your mind, your mental performance is going to be able to perform at the same stage. Does that make sense? So you have to be able to learn to look after the two, because they go hand in hand. You can't have one better than the other. Also, the type of training that you spend time doing, okay? Coming back to the certain skills. Now, I don't know enough about fencing to dive into detail about that, but I do know things like in rugby. Now, you can go out and wait for a mate to come along to pass the ball, or you can get the ball in your hands and you can practice the technique of how it releases out of your hand. Something as simple as that. Now, I don't need anybody around to practice that. And the better you get at it, the better your pass becomes. So when you get the opportunity to go practice with somebody, now you're practicing perfection, or you're at least practicing, the elite execution. Does that make sense? So that now when you go into performance, you've done all the little things to help get you there. There's no doubt anymore. You've done it that many times. You're just going to have to go versus the next person. Here's a little bit browner. They're a little bit taller, a little bit shorter. They got blue eyes, whatever. Their face mask has blue on it rather than black, whatever. Does that make sense? So doing all those 1%ers stack up, and they go a very, very long way towards helping you succeed. Also, the last thing that probably a lot of you won't get the opportunity to do, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, ever been introduced to it, but the more you can study the people who are the best in what they do in your sport, whether it's a female, whether it's a male, whether it's someone you really look up to, be able to sit down with your coaches and just review things. Look at why, ask questions, why, how did that point get scored? If you can learn that skill, those are 1%ers that take you a very, very long way on your journey. So I can't stress that one enough. When you've prepared well, okay, as the title states, you prevent poor performances, and no one ever wants to have a poor performance. Who here feels great about going out and having a poor performance? Fantastic. Good. I'm really glad that that's the case. Although it's not the end of the world, when you're an elite athlete, when you're a competitor, you never want to have poor performances. But sometimes they happen. They do. They happen, and there are some things that sometimes you're not aware of that have caused it. So it comes back to your preparation. How you prepare yourself. Are you hydrated? Have you slept enough? Have you practiced enough of the drills? Did you listen to the coach? Did you watch that film? Did you do the extra stretching? Did you do the extra training so that you were conditioned for all those bouts that you have to go through? Because at the next level, okay, you're going to meet somebody who's just as talented as you. And as I said earlier, the thing that separates the best of the best is never to do with luck, all right? But purely who was there in the moment, who was able to perform. The 5 P's also help squeeze doubt out of your mind. Who here has ever had to go up and go into a duel or a bout and doubted whether or not they were able to either beat that person? Yeah, fantastic, guys. Look, great work. It means that we're all human. That's exactly it. Everybody feels doubt. I still feel doubt too. I've been doing playing rugby for 14 years. There are times when you feel doubt, but when you prepare yourself well, you squeeze all of that doubt out of you. It comes back to that. So when you get setbacks, are you doing all the recovery, all the right things? Are you listening to your coaches? Because these guys are the ones that see the things that you can't see. They see all the blind spots. We call them blind spots, right? And I can't stress that one enough. You want to perform better. You want to get selected for teams. You want to go to elite level competition. Then it really comes down to how you prepare and the sort of experience, obviously, that you get and the learnings that you take away from each and every bout. The other thing with feeling doubt as well at times really just comes down to feelings that you have or that you encounter. So, good preparation helps you embrace nerves. We call that excitement in high performance. It's just a feeling. When you're feeling nerves, you feel all those butterflies getting around, they feel like they're all going to go in different directions. We call that excitement. Give it a name, we label it. so that we know what it is. It's that feeling again. Now I'm not too worried about that feeling. I know I'm just feeling excited. Does that make sense? So the next time you feel the butterflies getting around, hopefully Bez's got a few things up his sleeve that you guys are going to get into. You'll experience those butterflies. Just remind yourself, I must be feeling excited. And also, it helps calm your mind. When your stress levels go up, when you start getting worried or you start getting doubtful, you start worrying about a whole heap of different things. When you're prepared, your mind goes laser focused. And by becoming laser focused, you're able to perform in any moment, under any circumstances, at your maximum capacity. But lastly, it's about giving yourself the opportunity to have clarity. When you have clarity, as I mentioned, your focus gets really, really dialed in, and you're able to just be in what we call the zone. There's a saying as well in our line of sport in rugby, we call it pull the trigger. Okay, and pull the trigger means, if anyone's ever been hunting or target shooting before, if you've ever held a gun for the first time, if you haven't, maybe you will experience it if you ever do, is that you get like all these balls of emotion up, and if you're not sure what they are, you become really hesitant to pull the trigger. And so when you're in competition, okay, you have to think of yourself like a weapon, because you are a weapon. You participate or you compete in a combat sport. So you have to learn to pull the trigger in yourself. Pull the trigger so that you can execute the skill under any sort of circumstance. Whether you're injured, whether you feel great, whether you feel sick and tired, you're able to pull the trigger. That also is what allows you to essentially tap into what we call the ultimate version of yourself, which is flow. Okay, some of you may have heard about it, some of you, that might be a new concept to you, but flow. If you can learn to get into flow, alright, that's where your instincts take over, and all your natural abilities and all the hard work and the time and effort that you put into your skills come together, and that's where the magic happens. So to help wrap some things up, I forgot the gentleman's name, but this was the Tokyo gold medalist for the men's, who comes from China. Does anyone know his name? Know his name, please?
I don't know his name.
I couldn't pronounce it, but anyway, it's a beautiful picture of looking at his gold medal. And why I've used that picture is so that to imprint your mind and imagine yourself being that person, and whether that medal is winning the next local competition, the next national competition, or one day being able to compete at a higher level. Okay, you've got to be able to visualize yourself doing it, alright? And it starts today. It starts today. It starts over these next few days. Now, some key takeaways, just to remind you guys, and please write these down if you've missed any of them. A better you makes a better athlete. A better you makes a better athlete. Being coachable, being respectful. Are you on time? Are you that athlete in the room who's always first to each and every one of the meetings, or are you the last one that everybody's waiting on? Because I can guarantee you from experience, if you're the last one, okay, your opportunity or your time for being a part of this group is soon going to close. Because there are patient people, but when you're working at high performance, you can't afford to be with anybody that's dragging the chain. The 100-hour rule. Write down the 100-hour rule if you haven't already. 18 minutes a day for 365 days of the year. When you're on holidays, when it's your birthday, when you're still sick, okay, there are still things that you can practice doing. Now, I didn't say anything about whether you wanted to do it or not, but it's understanding that it gives yourself the power to know that you can always just give 18 minutes a day to anything. And that's also a side piece towards any other skill that you want to develop. You want to learn to play the guitar, the piano, you want to get better at learning a new language. 18 minutes a day is all it takes for a whole year. Warrior mindset. Alright, everything that you do, whenever there's an opportunity to go out and compete over the next couple of days, take that warrior mindset. And studies have shown that actually the females are the more dominant species. All right, we just have more males that forget to tell them that all the time and remind them of it. So, young queens in the room, I want to see you guys really go out and show these boys what real warriors look like, so that they too can bring out the warrior in them. Because they say iron sharpens iron, so that's what you guys need to do every opportunity you get to go out and compete. Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger just means to back yourself. Every time, pull the trigger. If that becomes a repetitive saying in your mind, okay, and you might come up with your own saying further down the line you go. But pull the trigger just means to back yourself, back yourself, back yourself. Believe in yourself. Because the only thing that's stopping you from being able to execute most of the time, 99.999% of the time, is your doubt and your hesitance. So always pull the trigger. The 5 P's, if you didn't already catch that, proper preparation prevents poor performance. Make sure you get that in there, okay? And always know that, you know, if you don't get the result that you're after, it's likely that you didn't do the work. You didn't do the work. It didn't come down to luck, alright? Some days you win, some days you don't, but it never comes down to luck. It's always ball in the court, and you always want to feel like you're in control, so that you're responsible for your results. And that way no one or nothing ever takes the power away from whether you win or you lose. If you want to win medals as you go forward, do the 1%ers. Write that down, the 1%ers of what's going to help me win. And the last thing, just know that it's going to take resilience, composure, alright, and taking the points when they're on offer to win championships, win more titles. Okay, as a team, as individuals. Alright, resilience you're only going to develop by going through some hard stuff. Okay, as youngins, it's the not being picked for certain teams. It's if you've got a partner going through breakups, they're really awful things to go through, but they build resilience. You don't always have to get hardships in your training. You might be really, really good at what you do that it's so hard to break you, but life has its way of being able to develop resilience. And the more you can embrace hardship in everyday life, it's going to transfer into your athlete life. Does that make sense? Composure as well. Again, you're only going to get better, you're only going to feel more comfortable with the more time that you put into it. You're going to become more composed, alright? It's about getting that clarity. The more you can practice that, it's a skill. Most of you don't have it. Most of you spend a lot of time on devices or being distracted by other things, which is again absolutely fine. But you have time now to be able to develop the skill of focus. And if you can do that, all right, you're going to have composure and you're going to be able to execute. Again, as I said right at the very start, the ability to have the ability to be able to perform under any circumstance in any given moment. So that's it for me. I hope that there are a few takeaways there that you guys can at least harness over the next few days. Feel free to ask some questions. Ask questions of your coaches and the fellow leaders in the room, whoever they may be. Ask questions, because what you don't know, you don't know. And somebody here can have the answer for you that can save you 10 years of hardship trying to figure it out your own way and help speed it up by 5 years or so. Thank you, guys.
Does anyone have any questions for Ryan or scenarios they want to put to him before he packs up and runs back off into the hills? Sleepy group. Does anyone like to do burpees? No? No questions?
I've got one.
Alright.
You talked about the zone and the flow. Are they different or are they the same thing with just different words?
Getting into the zone is what allows you to flow. Does that make sense?
The zone's the place and the flow is what you do when you get there. Exactly. And so, you have to
ultimately like a checklist. You have to go through your checklist in order to help you get into the zone. And some of you will experience it sometimes when you're doing certain tasks. It could be cleaning the house, it could be when you're performing in fencing and about, right? You get so into the zone that everything else around you just shuts off and you're just there, and then you're able to flow. And so it's, now when you have times like this, it's about understanding, okay, how do I create my checklist so I can get into the zone? Because once I'm in the zone, that's where flow happens.
I think about part of getting into the zone is also really good routines. We talk about that as coaches, right? When you go to a tournament, get all your friendlies out of the way, say hi to everybody, get weapons through checkup, get yourself set up, if your team are good, get warmed up, get into it. Have that checklist to get yourself into a space where you have the opportunity to succeed, rather than sitting on the outside and being spectator to your own life.
I think in my experience as well, I mean, everybody's different, some characters are real laid back, some people are real intense. It's about understanding what works for you. Okay, as young adults, young teenagers, and you guys are going to be going through all sorts at the moment, especially hormonally, okay, and that can affect your mood. But if you can create yourself a plan or a checklist or something that you can work towards, something that's obviously flexible, because you want to know that you can change it if you need to, but that will at least give you some form of stability to be able to operate under those circumstances. Because remember, high performance is about performing in any moment, in any circumstance, or under any circumstances. And you've got to be able to, again, the higher that you go, that's what it's about. I remember the very first time I played in front of 80,000 people in Cape Town in South Africa, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. Never run out in front of 80,000 people before, and the crowd is going absolute bananas, as you can imagine, and looking around and thinking, wow, man, I can't believe this is actually happening, and then starting to feel those butterflies, and then being triggered and going, oh man, that's right, those butterflies mean I'm getting excited. Bang, okay, now I'm going back over my checklist, make sure I get back in the zone, so that I'm focused on what I'm doing and not distracted by everything that's going on around me. Does that make sense? And by being able to do that, you have some of your best performances, and it's in those moments where some performances can just really catapult you into doing some phenomenal things in regards to opportunities in the future. That could be leading towards sponsorship deals. Is your sport funded at all? Hardly.
Not well.
Yeah, not well, So, I mean, imagine if you can be that person who, picks up sponsors along the way. Adidas or Nike or what are some of the
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
The best of the worst.
But again, they get behind you, and these brands are the ones paying for you to do this on a more full-time basis. They cover the cost of your living. That's ultimately what you'd like to be able to do, especially if you really love this. Obviously, if this is again, if you're forced to be here, it's probably not going to be your cup of tea to pursue things like that. But for those of you, or the small percentage of you that actually do want to do some great things, you've got the most valuable thing that any human being can ever have, and that's time. You've got time on your side. And everybody here who's an older head will be able to tell you that time goes so quick, man. If you had your time back over, which none of us can, you definitely do things differently. But hey, look, it's not about us, it's about you guys, the next generation coming through. And I'm excited about that. I can't wait to hear about some of the reports of you guys and obviously how this camp goes. I wish you all the best. I want to see each and every one of you succeed, and please note for any of you that are based here in the Bay, or I hear that some of you have come from around the country, I'm always contactable, and I love helping people, I love seeing people succeed. So if you ever need a personal hand with anything, and help dive into things a little bit in greater detail, because some of these things may have blown past you, absolutely fine. Get my contact details on page. We've left nothing more than to help you. Is there any other questions, guys?
Ups, goes out. 3, 2, 1. Go! Up and up. Good go.
Can I get a quick photo of myself?
Yep.
Okay?
Everyone quickly nudge over there. Well, actually, all just nudge around them, mate. Come on. Everybody crowd and you love them get close. Come on. Ali, ali, ali.
Alright, ready? Tongia, get in tighter. Come in a little bit closer. Pull your shoulder ones.
Are you sure you played rugby?
Yes. Okay, wait, hold on. There we go. Alright. Ready? 3, 2, 1. One more, guys. We're going to go blades on 3. 1, 2, 3. Blades! Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Very much so.
Camera still.
Thanks, guys.
All the money we have really good. Oh, yeah, sometimes they we always